Hello, everyone, and a pleasant good afternoon to you all. And thank you for joining us again today on Heart Talk Between Sisters. I am so happy today to have with us a very special and dear colleague who I've met over the years and during my time working on counter trafficking efforts and traveling to different places to engage in different workshops. A really strong woman, a wonderful woman. And her name is Innocentia Apovo. And Innocentia Apovo is a native of Benin in Africa. So she speaks French and English. Today we're going to have the interview in English. And Innocentia has held several senior titles throughout her career as a police officer. Her areas of expertise in policing are in transnational organized crime. She was the former head of the NCB for Interpol in Cotonou in Benin, and the NCB is the National Central Bureau in her country. She was also the coordinator of the THB unit in Interpol headquarters in Lyon, France. And right now, she holds the title of Director of International Cooperation and Mutual Legal Assistance in her home country in Benin. So I am so happy to have with us this afternoon Innocentia Povo. Innocentia, welcome to Heart Talk Between Sisters.
Thank you so much. I'm very pleased to be on board with you this today. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for hosting me, madam.
Okay, so Innocentia, I do speak French, incidentally. French is my second first love language, but I wouldn't try to have any conversation in French today. I
that,
wouldn't want to
that's
embarrass.
nice to know. That's nice to know, but no worries. I think the people who are listening to us,
Yeah.
do they understand French? I think no.
No, English it is. And then
Exactly. So
yeah,
no problem. We will make it in English then.
thank you. So I saw where you're also now learning Spanish, and I had to by force I had to learn Spanish in Trinidad because our country's right next to South America. So I had to learn Spanish. So I gave up my French basically. So I found myself speaking French and Spanish at the same time.
Oh,
So
wow. That's
yeah,
amazing. I'm
yeah,
very beginner. I'm very, very beginner in Spanish, but I'm
yeah,
taking it like 2 months ago now. It
yeah.
really, it sounds great to speak this language, and I give myself like till December, I should be in a very good position to do a discussion, a free discussion, like basic discussion with Spanish colleagues.
Very well, and Godspeed with you with that. Once you know a second language, I think it's easy to learn a third and a fourth. So,
Thank
so,
you.
so we're gonna get straight into the interview in Essentia, and you know that I'm here, and we are here to support you in the work that you're doing and the advancements that you're making as a woman, and as a career woman, and also as a woman of African descent. So, tell us about you in Essentia. Tell us about your experience. Why did you choose to become a police officer?
Thank you very much. I'm senior police officer with over 16 years of professional experience now in public security, the fight against transnational and organized crime. But particularly, I am an expert, in combating human trafficking and migrant smuggling, child exploitation, violence against women. So. Doing that, I have a deep perspective on international cooperation because our world is facing a very huge challenges now when it comes to new technologies and other things. So international cooperation is utmost, to fight against transnational and organized crimes. So about myself, I hold a master degree in international law. I'm also finalizing now a master degree in digital law, to be in a good position to face the new challenges of our communities. And I have a huge international experience as I work at Interpol headquarters for 7 years in one part as a criminal intelligence officer and also as a coordinator of the human trafficking unit at Interpol headquarters. So this both national and international experience give me like a global overview, about the question of securities in Africa and even through others regions. So why do I become police officer? I would say that this is something really related to passion. Since I was young, I was like seeing a lot of unfair situation around me, So I was like, I have to become police officer to make justice to the poor people, to the vulnerable people, to help them, to support them, to do something better for the communities that are really vulnerable. So that's what really empowered me to become law enforcement. And I think since 16 years now, I'm doing that job with a lot of patience. And I can tell you that it is really rewarding to work on this area.
Yes, I do agree. It's very rewarding work, and we see a lot of officers doing such great work. And it's interesting that you chose such a specialized area of transnational organized crime and trafficking in persons in particular. And of course, we're gonna get into your work at Interpol and everything a little later on in our conversation. But we just want to talk some more about you. You want to share with us any of your highlights as a police officer working in Benin, and how you were able to move up the ranks. Even as a female officer, and those types of experiences. Anything that you think would be beneficial to our listeners to know.
Sure, in Benin, women are playing a very key role in the police here because our community is facing a lot of challenges. We have all type of criminalities here, such as drug trafficking, armed trafficking, maritime piracy, human trafficking, people smuggling, child exploitation, and even now with the new technology and with also artificial intelligence, there is.
Okay, it seems that we may have lost the connection for a bit. So we are listening to Innocentia. You're back on. We lost you for a bit. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
I'm here. I'm online, dear.
Okay, we're hearing you again. So you can go ahead.
Exactly. So women in police in Benin are very playing a very good role in combating, transnational crime, and we work together with our colleagues men to tackle the new type of criminality. So doing that, this really require sophisticated training, because everything in our life is about training. So this is why our country invests a lot in the police officer training and then some specialized training such as financial investigation training, for instance, and specialized training like online investigation, how to get some intelligence also online, open sources, information management, for instance. So there are this kind of training that are targeting some key officers and particularly the women in order to allow them to face the current challenges. But this is something that is not really easy. I think it is the same things all over the world for women to be in law enforcement community is not that much easy. But with more organization, if you are well organized and also you love your job, I think this is not something impossible. It is really possible to do it in a very good way with impactful results.
Well, I mean, you're a testimony of that it can be done as a woman in your country. And, I just want to highly commend you and say congratulations for reaching this far as a woman in the field, in the law enforcement field. I remember a few weeks ago, I had interviewed a senior officer from Ghana, and she had shared with us that as a female officer, there were certain investigations that only the male officers, they said to her that these are investigations for male officers to do, not for women. And she decided to challenge that and say, well, no, as a woman, I can do it. I'm a police officer, so I could do any investigation. And she decided to take on one of those investigations, and she followed the same pattern that the men used in investigating the case, the particular case, and she was very successful. And after a while, they trusted her with other types because they felt that certain types of investigations were too risky for women to partake of. She also shared, when she was part of a UN team that was, she was in a UN team in one of the countries in Africa, and she offered to drive the vehicle, and they told her, well, no, woman can't drive the vehicle. That's something for the men to do because I guess the terrain was very rough and everything. And she challenged them, and she decided she would drive the vehicle. And they were very surprised. They were pleasantly surprised at her how she was able to handle herself and conduct herself as an officer. So, I'm sharing all of that to say that, as a woman, I am sure, we may say in a man's world, but really it's a male dominated environment, and sometimes their women are stereotyped in certain environments. So, were those things that you faced? And I mean, if you want to share on that, and how did you overcome those things to really prove yourself? Because you've advanced a very fast stage as a female officer to be heading a THB unit in Interpol. That's a big thing, in Interpol headquarters. So, would you like to share some of those things and how you overcame some of those challenges?
Oh, that's great. That's great. Very good point that you raise up, Alana. This is something that happened, but in Benin, from the beginning of the national police, there were women. We have a lot of women from the beginning of this organization. So maybe the first women in this police, they face a lot of challenges, but as when we start working, this is something that it has not been that much hard, for us as women to lead a team of men, for instance, or to lead an investigation. I can sincerely tell you that there were not really that kind of discrimination, When I left the police college after my training there, they just sent me as a head of unit. So it was not like you are women, you cannot do this.
Hi, Innocentia. I think you
Not
went.
really that
Okay, you're back.
much things,
Right.
So the only challenges, or maybe I won't call it challenges, some barriers that I can talk about it here are related to some exercises, for instance, that they said that only men can do that. For instance, for the annual parade for our Independence Day, there is some exercises that they mention that this is typically for specialized units of men, So in 2013, I decided to break down this barrier. And I told them that even though this is for men, I can do it, I can make it. So I decided to get the training, and then after a month of training, I did it in a very, very good manner. It was a national, it was really well seen at national level, you know. Apart from that, there are also some men, they don't want women to lead them, you know. They don't really like to work with women as a commander. But when you have such this kind of people or staff under your comment, you adapt yourself, you know, I just try to speak a lot with that colleague. And then I explain him that we are here for a common interest to keep our community safe. We are not here as to challenge ourselves, you know, not at all. We are here for one goal, and the goal is to keep our community safe, to keep the country in peace and in security. So don't look at me as a woman because I can do all that you are doing, you know. So for some men, it is difficult for them to accept woman like a commander. But for most of them that I work with, since the beginning of my career, I can sincerely tell you that it has not been that much hard for me. You know, I can even sometimes I'm like it is even hard with women than with men in my country.
As you said that, I was just laughing. just, I just had to laugh. Yes, I can totally relate to that. But I mean, it's kudos that you were able to, and it's all about communication, and I guess really communicating and dealing with the fears, because it's about fear that
Exactly.
people have. People are afraid and they not sure what the experience is going to be like, and fear of the unknown and stuff. But that communication is so important. And it's funny.
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
funny.
That is very important. And sorry, Alana.
No, you go ahead by all means. This is your show.
And also, when you are dealing with this kind of person, you have to show that you are very competent, you know, very well skilled person, so that they can respect this, you know. But when you are a woman commanding staff who are men and they don't want to have woman like a commander, and you are not well skilled, you are not competent, you don't have the ability of the position, they will challenge you a lot. They will really challenge you. So when you start working with this kind of person, you have to be professional. You know, you have to be excellent. You have to develop some values, and respecting of these values, they will understand that this person is focusing and on her goal, so that we must follow her.
Yeah, so so it really makes it harder for the woman, a woman leader, to really prove herself in that environment, because a woman has to work. They always say the saying where they say women have to work twice as hard when they're in leadership positions to prove that they are worthy and deserving of those positions. I mean, that's basically what you're telling us, that
Sorry, Alana. Sorry,
yes,
I didn't get this point,
I'm
please.
saying that women, as what from what you've shared, it means that a woman has to work two times harder to prove
Exactly.
that she can lead.
Exactly. That's the point. Unfortunately, you know, you have to work doubly and hardly in order to show them that you are able to manage this position, to lead this position.
Yes, and I mean, how did you handle that? Having a family, because you would have had a family life, spouse, children. What was that experience like for you, balancing work and family?
Well, this is a question of communication and organization, you know. When you are an individual that is self-motivated, because I call myself that I'm always self-motivated, I'm a very self-motivated person. And you have the support of your family. I'm lucky I have a man who fully supports my vision. He really supports all my action. I never face a restriction or something with him. He's fully supporting me all the time. And also my kids, it's true that they're still very young, but they really understand that my work is challenging work. They also know that I'm passionate with my work, and they fully support me in what I'm doing. So when you have your family support and you love what you are doing, I think everything become much more easier. It is true you will face a lot of challenges in terms of um, face doing the maybe meeting their needs at home, and also responding to the professional needs, professional calls that are all the time. Even during nighttime you may be called for an emergency. But in all this, when you have truly the support of your family, it's become much more easier, and you feel really, um, really powered. You feel empowered to face easily these challenges. So that's what I do, and I try to plan a lot. I try to plan like each week. Each week I have a specific plan for my work and for the family. I know that at this time I should talk to the kid if I'm not around. At this time I should do this, I should do that. For instance, I will be traveling on Sunday. After tomorrow, I will be traveling. I will be on mission to Taiwan. But I dedicate it already tomorrow, Saturday, to cook a lot of food, and that I will put in the fridge there for them. So there is a lot of things that I am very proactive on this kind of situation, in order to not affect, to not affect negatively my family. So it is really a question of planification, organization, and communication.
Yes, and that's what I've seen with you. So I see we're getting a hint there to take a break. So we are going to pause, and we'll be right back on Hot Talk Between Sisters.
Thank you.
Heart Talk Between Sisters radio broadcast. Tune in to a heartwarming and enlightening radio experience like no other. Join us on a journey of love, laughter, and lifelong connections as we explore the unique bond between sisters. Our broadcast is a celebration of sisterhood, offering a safe space for candid conversations, shared memories, and inspiring stories that touch the soul. Whether you're a sister yourself or simply appreciate the beauty of this extraordinary relationship, this broadcast is for you. Discover the secrets of sisterly love, support, and understanding as we delve into personal experiences and heart-to-heart conversations that will make you smile, cry, and reflect. So, grab your favorite cup of tea, get cozy, and let our Heart Talk Between Sisters broadcast warm your heart and lift your spirits. Join us every week for an emotional journey filled with wisdom, connection, and the enduring power of sisterly bonds. Don't miss out on this extraordinary experience.
To listen to our station WCAN Radio for this and other informative programs all day long, visit www.wcanradio.us. To be a special guest in any of our segments or to support us financially through sponsorship, call 1-868-397-5961 or 1-678-856-3709.
Thank you for joining us on Hard Talk Between Sisters. And we are here having a conversation with a senior police officer from the country of Benin in Africa, Miss Innocentia Apovo, who is the Director of International Cooperation and Mutual Legal Assistance. So, Innocentia and I were talking about work family balance. And Innocentia, as a mother, and a wife, and in Essentia suggested to us women, that and when we have very senior positions and those positions that require phone calls to be made during the night, late hours, when you're home with your family, the importance of planning the week with your family and planning the week with your job. And in Essentia gave the example of her having to do an overseas trip and knowing that that's coming up, making sure that there is cooked food in the fridge for her family, probably portioned out in containers in the freezer. So they just take out the container and warm up the food so that the children and the husband are still fed and maintained in her absence. And from what I know of Innocentia, I mean, I've seen her live that life. Innocentia, I remember also when you had just become the head of the THB unit in Interpol, and THB is Trafficking in Human Beings unit, and you were pregnant at that time. And I just saw how you handled yourself as a young mother and also as a wife, because your family would have been with you there in France. And you still had to do a lot of traveling, even from France to some of the other countries where Interpol was doing work on trafficking in human beings. So we're going to talk in this section, in Essentia, about your experience at Interpol. How did you end up working at Interpol?
Well, how did I end up to get at Interpol? I would say that in 2013, I got the advertisement for the position on Interpol website. So because I used to check the website because I was hoping one day to get an international experience, so I used to check the website on a very regular basis. So one day I checked and then I saw that there were a position, a criminal intelligence position online that was vacant. And then I applied to the position. Fortunately, a month ago, they called me for an exam. I took the exam, and then after that, they also called me back for an interview. I also took the interview, and then later, they just sent a notification to my country to ask whether they can uh, second me before the organization, and then my country also endorsed my application. So that's how I got this. But I want to mention here that it was something, the position was related to my expertise area, because in Benin, when I was applying to this position, I was the head of child protection and human trafficking unit in Benin. And the position was also criminal intelligence within the human trafficking unit at Interpol headquarters. So I have been recruited there based on my expertise working on that field. And it's not only the fact that you work, in your country, they also take into consideration my CV. Even when I was in Benin working here, I had a lot of regional exposure. I support, for instance, a lot of investigation on child exploitation within Benin, Nigeria, and Togo, within Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. So it's not only related to my country. I did this kind of investigation, regional investigation that involved so many other countries in my region. In the meantime, I work a lot also with many international organizations like IOM, for instance, like UNODC, like the embassies also in Benin, because when you dismantle a network and you rescue the victim, Sometimes some of the victims are not from Benin. They are from other countries, from others region. So I had to work with the embassies here to make sure that these victims receive special care and welfare. So that exposure, regional exposure, and the relationship, the cooperation that I had with this organization also facilitate my selection to that position. So I started working at Interpol in February 2014 as a criminal intelligence officer. It has been a bit hard, from the beginning, from an African woman to shift from Benin to Europe to France. The first thing is the climate, the weather is not that much easy for us to adapt to this weather, because in my country it is like 25 to 30-degree all the time. So shifting like that to a very cold country, it has been a bit challenging. But quickly, I really adapt myself. And 3 months later, my family joined me. They joined me there. At that time, I had only one kid, and I had another one while I was in France. And as you mentioned before, I was pregnant, but everything is related to is a question of mindset. I'm a person that truly believe that there is no obstacle in this world that you cannot overcome. If there is an obstacle or maybe a problem or concern, that means that the solution is there. That is my opinion, my vision. So how, however the situation is, I try quickly to adapt myself and to keep working hard. So that's why when I was there and this happened, I was fully dedicated to my work, because as a woman, getting pregnant is not an obstacle for me. It's something very normal and should not stop me doing my job. So I did it. I was traveling all over the world. I trained officer in Asia, in America, in Europe, and even in Africa. I did a lot of projects, a lot of activities, and even some operational activities in Africa, in Europe. While I was pregnant, it's not really stopped me by doing my job and by attending my goals. And all this is related to the mindset and also the dedication that you have. Because I wasn't there, I consider that I represent my country, so I shouldn't fail. I should defend and make a good job in order to show that people from Benin can do great things, and have a very good result also. So
Yes,
that's how I really overcome this challenge.
very admirable, Innocentia. You're someone who I've always admired, over the years. So thanks for sharing so much of so many personal things about your journey to Interpol in France. And yeah, I mean, I think we all could relate to the changing from a warm climate to a cold climate, because we're in the Caribbean and our temperatures are the same as in Benin. Warm, and we get warm, breezy temperatures. So traveling to a cold country and having to live in the cold country is a very big adjustment, and also even to have a family there and to have extended family and new family members coming on board in that environment, it must have been tremendous. But what I hear from you is that you really love international. You love doing work internationally. That has been your experience, even while as a police officer in Benin, and of course during your time heading the Interpol THP unit in France, and you did that for 7 years, and that's a long time. So here we are in Essentia. We're at another junction, and it's funny you said that February of 2014 you started working as a criminal intelligence officer in France, and we are here 10 years later, and here you are. I'm looking at a flyer with a lovely picture of you in uniform, and it says support Benin's candidate for Interpol Vice President for Africa. So, 10 years after joining Interpol as a criminal intel officer, here you are going for another very, very, very senior position. And would you like to tell us why do you want to pursue this position? We know you love international. We know that you're very much capable of doing this type of work. But why continue with Interpol?
Sure, I will mention it. I just want to get a bit another point mentioning that after spending 3 years at Interpol as criminal intelligence officer, I got an opportunity to apply again to another position within the organization. That's why I became the coordinator of the human trafficking unit there. That's how I became the coordinator. In 2018, I became the coordinator of the human trafficking. So that was a very good promotion for me. And I think it was based on my experience, my dedication to the work, and the way also, you manage the team there. So after 3 years, 3.5 years playing the role of coordinator of the human trafficking unit there, I went back home in Benin. And then here in Benin, I got the position of the head of National Central Bureau of Interpol. In each of the Interpol member countries, there is NCB that are like a local representation, of Interpol, but they really depend on the police. So I lead this organization, this unit, and now I'm the director of the corporation. You can then imagine that I really know the challenges, that law enforcement globally are facing when it comes to combat organized and transnational crime. Because I've been working on this since 16 years now. I know the opportunities on this, the challenges, and also the traits, the new traits. There is many, many new traits now that we are facing, the law enforcement communities are facing. Then I really think that my country chose me to represent Africa within the Interpol Executive Committee because they believe in my ability to represent the continent, and my competence is also to support Interpol in its visions and in its missions around the world. By accepting to be the candidate to the vice president for Africa position, I can tell you that I'm aware of the challenge that this will be for me, but I'm also ready, very I'm ready to take this position and to make change because Interpol is in a very unique position when it comes to the global architecture of security around the world. Interpol is in its unique position, playing a very good role, offering, for instance, to the member countries a large range of policing and capabilities. The notices, the databases that Interpol uh, set up to the member countries are very important when it comes to combat transnational crime. But in Africa, our countries are not using these policing and capabilities as it should be. There is less benefit from all these policing and capabilities in Africa. So I think, as I know the organization, I know its vision. Also, I support the mission of the organization. I think really that if I'm elected as a vice president for Africa, I can pay on the promotion of the use of Interpol policing and capabilities in the continent, and also consolidating the cooperation among the member countries of Interpol in order to make Interpol stronger, and resilient also, given the new challenges and threats that the organization is facing now.
Yes, thank you very much. I also fully believe in your ability to become the vice president for the African region. I fully believe from the work that I've done with you over the years. I fully believe and I fully endorse your candidacy and fully support you working in this area. So congratulations so much for being recommended by your country for this really noble position and noble responsibility. I also fully endorse the work that Interpol does because I've done work with Interpol and I've been trained by Interpol. And so I know and I'm familiar with the kind of work and the quality of work that they produce, and they still do produce over the years. So Innocentia, is there anything that you would want to say? Oh, we're going to take a break and we will be right back again on Hard Talk Between Sisters.
Okay, let's have the break then.
Join the Spin and Donate game, where your spin makes a global impact. Spin the wheel for a chance to donate and support our mission. Every spin not only gives you exciting participation, but also contributes financially to our network. Help us expand our global reach and get our messages to our listeners around the world. Spin today, donate, and be part of something bigger. Join us on our live broadcast to get a chance to spin, or simply call us to spin off the air. Call 1-868-397-5961 or 1-678-856-3709.
Chash, discover a new way to earn with your website. What if I could show you a system that pays you every time you or someone else shops on your business website? It's possible with our incredible platform. Here's what you get: access to over 2,500 retail stores. Offer thousands of products from top retailers. No cost to you or your clients. Completely free for you and your potential clientele. Easy, free sign up. Just a few steps to start earning. Once signed up, personal website, you'll receive a personal website stocked with hundreds of thousands of products. Sign up for free today. Call 1-868-397-5961 on WhatsApp, ask for Doc, and request the special sign-up link. Don't miss this opportunity to turn your website into a revenue-generating powerhouse.
Thank you for joining us on Hard Talk Between Sisters, and we are having conversation with Senior Police Officer from Benin, Innocentia Apovo Monteiro, and we are discussing her candidacy for the position of Vice President for Africa, Interpol Vice President representing Africa, the continent of Africa. So, Innocentia, is there anything else you would want to tell our listeners about your candidacy for Interpol?
Yes, of course, I can give you some points about my candidacy. As I mentioned, I'm applying to the position of Vice President for Africa. And this is a very strategic position within the executive committee of Interpol, who is that is like a control organ of the organization. So um, I have proven management and leadership skills at both national and international level. I'm a very professional woman. Um, I have a great ambition for Interpol in the future, and I am aware of the challenges, that the organization is facing currently in terms of combating transnational and organizing crime, and particularly when it comes to cybercrime. Many countries around the world are facing these challenges, but in Africa, we still lacking some technology in order to meet effectively the investigation, in Africa. So that's why I'm working hard on this position in order to help to get it, so that I can also, based on innovative approach, support the member countries to face these new challenges. As I told you, I value integrity. I value accountability. And I think that's something that the member countries of Interpol also value a lot. So being the vice president of Africa means that I will be representing the continent, within this international organization, defending the interests of the continent, but also improving, promoting the cooperation between the continent and the other continents around the world. So what I think that could be immediately do is to initiate, for instance, some partnership, to sign some, to promote some new agreements between member countries from Africa, from other regions, in order to consolidate the international cooperation, because nowadays there is a lot of barriers when it comes to some mechanism of international cooperation. And we have to come together, we have to be united, to work on these barriers in order to not let the criminal running around the world. We have to stop them from running away while the victims are there. The human rights of victims are not respecting, they are not getting justice. So from my perspective, I think it is very important to promote new partnership, with some key countries from south to north, from south to south also, in order to facilitate the cooperation. Also, there are some vulnerability in the system of cooperation, and these vulnerabilities need to be tackled, need to be taken seriously in order to make our system stronger. Otherwise, the criminal will be defeating us all the way. And that is not possible. That is not how we will, the legacy that we want to leave to the future generation. So I'm fully committed, Alana, and I think it is our responsibility to come together, to work together hardly in order to make sure that we will be living a safer world to the future generation, to our generation first, and also to the future generation. And for that, I'm fully committed. I'm, I strongly believe that I can play a key role in that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Innocentia. And I hear your passion and I hear your plea for that cooperation, the international cooperation. which is so important because, individually, countries, we all facing crime issues all over the world. Every country has their different crime issue, but unless, as you say, we come together, and, even though there is the UN, UNTOC, the UN Convention on Transnational Organized Crime, and other conventions that sort of provide a facility for cooperation when it comes to investigations. Beyond that, there needs to be stronger mechanisms. I would say particularly bilateral mechanisms and also even regional mechanisms. So like where we are in the Caribbean, we in CARICOM has like impacts, and CARICOM has other regional bodies to help with crime, and they're trying to strengthen those strengthen the arrangements that exist.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so like with Africa, I know Africa has different structures, but it also requires more than the structures and the organizations that are set up. It requires a mechanism, whether it's a MOU, a memorandum of understanding, or standard operating procedures or protocols to follow that are agreed upon by the member states, so that that cooperation is so much easier. So, if you have to have like the extradition, I know they have the extradition treaties and all those things, but if you have to have cross border investigations, that it can be done somehow strengthened to strengthen the UNTOC and strengthen the cross border investigation mechanisms that are in place. And I know Interpol in particular. Interpol has had some very good and very successful operations in my region. For example, Operation Turquesa, which I know you'd be familiar with that one. And there was Operation Libertad, which happened, I think, while you were heading Interpol THB. But those operations are particularly regional operations that deal with trafficking persons and smuggling migrants. So,
That's true. I was
yeah,
the coordinator when we led this operation in the Caribbean.
correct. So when you have like Interpol facilitating those types of operations, then through the Interpol mechanism, you could then have that cooperation because Interpol already has the arrangement with individual member states.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So we have, with just the last few minutes that we have, is there any advice that you would want to give to women and to persons who are in leadership positions, women who are in leadership or who are pursuing leadership positions?
Well, I would say that as women, we have really to be committed to have a great vision, good ambition and great vision, know what you really want, you know, where you are going, so that you give yourself the means to reach your goal. If you don't set up your goal and have a clear vision, you could be manipulated easily, and that is not good. So, if I have any advice, is to say that we really need to be organized, have clear vision, and set up goals so that you give yourself the means to reach up these goals in your life.
Yep. And you are a living testimony of it, as I see. You know,
Sorry?
you are a living testimony of that. You've lived that your life.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yes.
I'm
You
trying to do my
And
best.
you are doing excellent. You're doing a fantastic job. As a mother, as a
Thank you
wife,
so much.
and a career woman, police officer, you're doing fantastic. I've always admired you over the years, looking at your progress. And, I'm so tempted to try to speak some French, but I do not want to embarrass myself by trying to practice some French words.
Don't worry, dear. Don't worry at all.
I'm tempted to try to ask you questions in French, and I'm like, oh gosh, I really don't want to because my French is so rusty, that I have to get back practicing it. So, So, in Innocentia, thank you very much for joining us on Heart Talk Between Sisters this afternoon. And I know
It's
you have
all
to
my
go and
pleasure.
you have to go to your family and prepare. As you said, you're traveling soon, so you have a lot of
Mm,
preparation to do with the family. And so we have been chatting with Innocentia Apovo Monteiro, and she has put up her candidacy, and her country has endorsed her candidacy for Interpol Vice President for Africa. So for persons who are listening, I encourage you to support Innocentia. I know her personally and professionally, and I strongly do endorse her ability to be able to perform in this position, and her professionalism, her integrity also. So Innocentia has risen from criminal intelligence officer in Interpol in 2014, and over during a 10-year period, she went from criminal intelligence officer in Interpol to becoming the coordinator of their THB unit, or Trafficking in Human Beings unit, and going back to her home country, heading the Interpol NCB, or the National Central Bureau in her country, and then now being the director of international cooperation and mutual legal assistance in Benin. And her country has recommended her and given her strong recommendation for the vice president of Interpol Africa. So I am really excited for you, Innocentia. I am excited for your country and for the African continent, that they have a woman, and they have a very strong woman and a strong candidate. So on this note, Innocentia, I wish you all of God's blessings and God's favor in this process.
mhm.
And
Thank you.
just to give you a last chance to say any last words that you would like to say to our listeners.
Thank you so much, Alana, and all the people online. I thank you for listening us. It was a very great pleasure to share this 60 minutes with you, and I hope you enjoy listening to us. So I will be very happy to get this position and to continue serving the global community of law enforcement in a very strategic level. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Innocentia, and I wish you safe travels on your trip to Taiwan, and to our
Thank you. Thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Alana. Let's keep
Thank
in touch.
you.
Bye.
Do enjoy
Bye
it.
bye.
And to our
Thank you. Thank
listeners,
you. Thank you a
thank you
lot.
for listening. Heart Talk Between Sisters. And I do wish you all a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Friday afternoon. Goodbye. Goodbye,
Thank you.
Innocentia. Goodbye
Bye.
to all our
Bye
listeners.
bye. Thank you. Bye.
Tune in to Situation Room, your hub for breaking news and in-depth analysis. Stay ahead of the curve with Situation Room, the must-watch segment for anyone keen on understanding the latest developments within the Caribbean and around the world. What is Situation Room about? Situation Room is your go-to source for real-time news coverage and comprehensive analysis of the events shaping our world. From political upheavals and economic shifts to social movements and environmental crises, we bring you the stories that matter as they unfold. Why you should watch. Timely updates, get the most current information on breaking news from trusted sources. Expert analysis, benefit from the insights of seasoned journalists, analysts, and industry experts who provide context and depth to the news. Caribbean focus, understand the implications of global events on the Caribbean region, with a special emphasis on how local and international issues intersect. Interactive discussions. Engage with our hosts and guests as they dissect complex situations, offering diverse perspectives and thought-provoking commentary. Whether it's a major political development, a natural disaster, or a groundbreaking discovery, Situation Room ensures you're informed and equipped with a well-rounded understanding of the news. Stay informed, stay engaged. Join us for Situation Room and become part of a community that values informed discussion and critical thinking. Follow us for updates, live broadcasts, and more. Your front row seat to the world's unfolding events is just a click away. Situation Room, where news meets insight.
Heart Talk Between Sisters radio broadcast. Tune in to a heartwarming and enlightening radio experience like no other. Join us on a journey of love, laughter, and lifelong connections as we explore the unique bond between sisters. Our broadcast is a celebration of sisterhood, offering a safe space for candid conversations, shared memories, and inspiring stories that touch the soul. Whether you're a sister yourself or simply appreciate the beauty of this extraordinary relationship, this broadcast is for you. Discover the secrets of sisterly love, support, and understanding as we delve into personal experiences and heart-to-heart conversations that will make you smile, cry, and reflect. So, grab your favorite cup of tea, get cozy, and let our Heart Talk Between Sisters broadcast warm your heart and lift your spirits. Join us every week for an emotional journey filled with wisdom, connection, and the enduring power of sisterly bonds. Don't miss out on this extraordinary experience.
To listen to our station WCAN Radio for this and other informative programs all day long, visit www.wcanradio.us. To be a special guest in any of our segments or to support us financially through sponsorship, call 1-868-397-5961 or 1-678-856-3709.